In my Robotic Process Automation Overview course, you'll discover that modern RPA tools are very powerful and can be used by non-programmers to develop software robots capable of automating almost any enterprise computer process traditionally performed manually by humans. As RPA takes hold in corporations, leaders are already seeking people who can use flowcharts to document enterprise processes spanning multiple technologies and boundaries, and then use RPA tools and automation best practices to create effective software robots to perform those tasks. For a human to provide the most value in an RPA environment, he or she must have a combination of business and technical skills so they can help automate processes across multiple system boundaries, including email, documents, databases, websites, mainframes, and APIs. If you've primarily been doing manual computer work and you find technical concepts like databases, APIs, and basic programming to be intimidating, this course is for you. The course will also benefit aspiring and junior automation developers who may have only automated web browsers in the past and don't have much exposure to other aspects of distributed architecture or basic programming concepts. My goal in this course is to provide dead simple explanations and demonstrations of foundational technical concepts to which most office workers have never been exposed. I'll begin the course with an introduction to flowcharts, because they are the backbone of robotic process automation, and anyone participating in the process should be flowchart fluent. Next, I'll provide definitions, demonstrations, and context surrounding many target systems for robotic process automation, and several different document types that modern RPA tools can use to store and retrieve information. Then we'll move on and we'll discuss several methods RPA tools can use to type and read information from different kinds of systems. Finally, we'll get into some entry-level programming concepts, including data types, operators, control flow, and object-oriented design, because all my RPA tool-specific courses and any successful RPA work will depend on several basic elements of programming. The future is upon us, and automation is at the center of it all. If you've always wanted to increase your technical skills so you can add greater value in the workplace and increase your earning power, this is absolutely the course for you. Let's take a couple of minutes and discuss why we need a tech primer course in the first place. Most RPA initiatives will most likely be a group effort. We can't make the assumption that everybody in a given company has the same level of technical skill. That's not to say that everybody in the company should have computer programmer level technical skills, but I believe there should at least be a minimum level of technical skills to enable productive discussions. In this Tech Primer course, I'd like to provide information that will allow everybody in the room to have a common vision and vernacular when discussing RPA solutions. When everybody can envision the same things and speak the same language, it helps everyone in the room better understand and rethink the processes that are occurring within the enterprise. From my experience as an RPA leader and developer, I've been surprised by just how many different ways different people perform what should be the same tasks on their computers. And these might be simple things that don't interfere with the process actually getting done, but when everybody walks into the room with a different idea of how the process is performed, it makes it more of a challenge to automate it. So another goal of this Tech Primer course is to hopefully allow everybody in the room to better understand how to use their computers and also to be able to envision basic software development practices so that we can better standardize how people perform tasks and also approach building robots. Many non-technical users simply don't understand basic programming concepts or the basic moving parts in typical enterprise distributed applications. So by everybody exerting a little bit of effort to know their computers better, to understand all the various different kinds of applications, to understand what's going on beneath the surface of the applications they're using, and some basic programming skills, I hope to expand the options in the RPA developers' toolkits so they can build a process in a way that's most efficient instead of being limited to only what they currently know. I'd like to be able to ensure that robot users can better articulate problems they have when they're using robots. If the robot user can isolate why the robot is experiencing a problem, it will help the RPA developers fix that robot more quickly. Finally, I generally want to increase the confidence of all computer users in the company when using your computer and robots. I realize that there are many different levels of technical knowledge within any given enterprise. So my goal here is to provide a progressive level of difficulty in this course, starting with simple concepts and eventually leading into more complex programming-related concepts. Again, my goal here is not to turn everybody in the company into a computer programmer, but I'd like to provide just enough programming concepts so that better conversations can be had with more people participating and understanding. To that end, I'm going to start with some basic Windows skills. And even if you already know these skills, that's fine, just move along. But be cognizant of the fact that some of your colleagues may not have these skills, and you should keep an eye out for that and help encourage them to increase their skill level in this regard, because it's just going to make everybody's lives more easy. We'll move on to discuss some flowchart fundamentals, because flowcharts are the tools we can all use to more clearly visualize any given process. You can have a flowchart that represents how a current process is done manually, and then you can create another flowchart that represents what that process looks like when a software robot is either performing all of it or simply just some part of it. We'll move on to some overviews of various automation targets, and this will give everybody a big picture overview of all the different possible automation targets that could exist. Again, you may already know some of these things, and you may not. I can't predict what kinds of automation targets and processes you're going to be doing in your business, so I'd simply like to lay a common foundation out there to help increase everybody's general technical awareness for your current job and any jobs you might have in the future. We'll move on to variables and data types, because these concepts are highly applicable to any software robot you will build. And near the end, we'll be looking at a variety of programming basics. And again, most RPA work doesn't require you to be a programmer. But oftentimes, we will have to use small snippets of .NET code to efficiently handle a task within a given activity. This is best achieved when you have some sense of object-oriented programming, because you'll have to research within the .NET library for methods you can use to best accomplish a goal. And when you're interacting with .NET library classes and methods, you'll be using syntax that includes dots and parentheses and angle brackets, which may be very confusing to somebody who doesn't have any programming background. So I'll give you a gentle introduction to object-oriented programming so you can better navigate the .NET documentation and choose the classes and methods that will best serve your process. As far as the learning outcome goes, you might not use everything you learn in this Tech Primer course on every robot. However, if you and all of your colleagues understand the majority of concepts in this course, that increases the likelihood of creating the right robots the right way. If your goal is to be part of the team that's discussing and building robots, you're going to need to have additional awareness and understanding of the systems that are being used within your company. Because at the end of the day, RPA is about completing tasks by using systems the same way that real users do. Along with improving the discussions about building robots, we can often take shortcuts that make RPA faster and more reliable. This is easier when we understand the systems better. If you don't really have a clear sense of some of the more technical aspects of the systems you use every day, this increases the chance that your software robots simply won't work as well. On the other hand, if you understand more about the systems you use every day and how they relate to one another, then it's much more likely your robots will be happy and perform faster and better than they would otherwise. After we first kick off the course talking about flowcharts, the first system I'll start talking about is our own local computer, because that's where a lot of our tasks happen. And I think it's really important to understand the file system on your computer so you can improve the efficiency of your manual tasks and better understand how you can create a software robot to help you perform them. Then we'll talk about websites and locators, because I think web applications are one of the more common tools we use every day. We'll discuss databases, because that's where information is stored. And if you understand how to use databases better, you might be able to make some choices when you're building software robots to interact directly with databases instead of spending more time getting information out of a user interface. We'll discuss email, so you have a better sense of the fastest and most reliable ways to deal with that. We'll talk about APIs, which are a layer between your website and your database. And that just gives us another option for getting data into and out of systems. I'll touch on FTP servers and how they're most often used in business processes and how they differ from our local file systems. Because some business processes do make use of FTP servers for moving information between companies. I'll talk about structured data formats like XML and CSV, because they also can make it easier to get data in and out of your robots. And finally, we'll cover some basic programming so you understand object-oriented concepts that will make it easier to perform robot activities more efficiently.